Okay, show of hands. Who had it on their bingo card that One Piece was going to be a post-apocalyptic story? Anyone? 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 Okay. Oh, those of you? Yes. Oh, was it because of the thing that happened at Egghead with the Vegapunk speech? Yes. Okay. Anyone pre-Egghead with that on their bingo card? Anyone? Oh, yes, you, sir, in the Fallout 4 gear. Okay, that makes sense. That actually does make sense. You were just hoping it was post-apocalyptic for purely no other reason than you like post-apocalypse. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Just okay. I didn't. But here we are. Hello, Internet. I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1144, Time for Warriors. The chapter art this week is Yamato, continuing on the journey across Wano. We have finally gotten around to the main quest and have saved Minatomo and the young women. You can see them thanking Yamato, even kissing Yamato's hand in thank you as Minatomo cries for joy of his safety and little Momonosuke, little Otama taking care of him. So yeah, everyone's saved. I'm still hedging my bets on Ulti and Page 1 being grateful as well, because I don't know, I feel like they're popular enough characters that giving them a redemption arc will probably not make some people angry. I mean, it's the internet, everyone will be angry eventually. But I wouldn't mind if Ulti and Page 1 had a turncoat moment here, because I think it would be cool. It was nice to see at the end of Alabasta, Django became a Marine. I would love if the cover stories would get animated, hopefully in the Netflix series, The One Piece. Not One Piece, The One Piece. When that comes out, I'm really hoping a few episodes are dedicated to the cover stories to give them the proper animation that they deserve. Like, for example, if you're an anime only person, which I don't know why you would be watching a channel that talks about the manga chapters, but if you're an anime only person, not so much spoiler, but spoiler, Enel is on the moon and he found a bunch of moon people and he defeated space pirates. Like, space pirates are real, and we only know that because of the cover stories. But anyways, going into the actual chapter itself, we start off with Ripley and Frankie again, as we are heading through the tour of Elbaf's history. Not even Elbaf's history, it's almost ancient history, even beyond ancient history. This is stuff that even Frankie has to admit is beyond logic and reasoning. It's so scientific that it's so out of place. Ripley shows Frankie this, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like a laboratory that the trees have grown around, but the level of tech here is so far advanced, but it comes from so long ago. Even the giants don't know where this came from. Now, we've done the math here a few times that because of the generations of giants, 800 years ago is not that long ago. The oldest giant is 400 years ago. The Void Century was like something his parents dealt with. Maybe his grandparents. It's amazing that the giants don't have a record of what happened during the Void Century. And more, the more that we see these things in Elbaf, the more I start to wonder, how much of history was erased and how much of history was forgotten? Maybe not so much forgotten as in they forgot to tell their children, but kind of like pudding's fruit. People just don't remember because they can't. But I'm getting a little too deep into conspiracy theories here. So this giant tree house, science house thing, actually, Lilith and Bonnie found this place way before Frankie did, which is good because Ripley was actually going to find Lilith and show her this as well. The reason they found it, though, is they got lost. They're very grateful that Frankie found them because even the greatest scientists in the world can have a terrible sense of direction. Plus, Bonnie's a child, so it's not like she was going to figure any way to get back home. That being said, Lilith has actually had some time to study this tree science thing, and kind of calculates that the tree might be about 3,000 years old. or at least this section of it, which is fascinating considering the Void Century was 800 years ago. So now we're not just talking about the Void Century, we're talking about the like ancient century, which, I mean, we know because of the Elbaf, like the sacred texts, we know that there was actually 3 eras, where we are currently in the 3rd era. We are in Joy Boy, or not Joy Boy, we're in Nika versus Eam zone here. But 800 years ago was the Void Century. That was the 2nd era. We don't know when the 2nd era began. We know the 3rd era started when the Void Century ended, but the 2nd era could have been thousands of years. It could have been a very, very long time. And this might just be 1st era tech that we're looking at here. We know Emeth is the ancient giant from the 2nd... you know what? Honestly, it's good to call these the 1st era, the 2nd era, the 3rd era. I think that's what I'm going to call them from now on, until somebody else says something that sounds better. But this 1st era technology is our first glimpse at the world before even Joy Boy's world, which I guess is something I just didn't think about. I mean, we've thought about the Void Century. We've thought about 800, 900 years ago, that little, snippet here. But have you, has anyone really thought about the world before the Void Century? I mean, yeah, we thought about the Ancient Kingdom, but I mean, if the One Piece world is anything like ours, it's got thousands, if not millions of years of history. Who knows? But all this speculation is thrown out the window as Bonnie lets out a shriek of fear. Frankie turns around, Ripley turns around, and they see what one of the children of Elbaf is afraid of. Lightning. In fact, it even looks like Zeus in his angry form, so it actually would be kind of interesting to see Nami fight this thing. But regardless, that ain't who fighting it right now, because Frankie and Ripley, they know that this is not a natural occurring thing, as Frankie's like, oh, Elbaf, the land of mystery, huh? And Ripley goes, no, not the land of mystery. This is not here. This is not a thing. And thus the battle with lightning itself begins. Meanwhile, a skeleton is attacking Elbaf, the western village. We see a Draugr attacking the western village. This is the same Draugr that knocked the fire brigade out of the sky. Brooke even makes a comment that it looks like a giant him. But yeah, this Draugr is a big problem, and the giants all start to get ready. They all prepare to fight it, and Usopp's like, "Oh yeah, no, this is terrible." And one of the giants is like, "Of course, this is horrible. Quickly, guests, you must go to safety." And Usopp bravely responds with, "Whoa, hang on there. You don't have to treat us like children. We want to fight too, right?" And then Jinbei's like, "Why'd you say that last part so quietly, buddy?" But yes, we do want to fight alongside you guys. And they say, "No, of course, no. We understand your bravery, but you are our guests, and we don't want to trouble you with this giant, potentially life-ending monster in front of us." So they do. They actually try to take the Straw Hats away from the danger. It is at this moment that Nami decides she should probably come clean with Jarl about what's been going on. They take Jarl to the 2 guardians of the castle, the ones that Shamrock and Gunko did a number on, and they start to learn about the red-haired lookalike, and they start to learn about the strange powers that she used. Jinbei even brings up, if it's weird powers, it's definitely a devil fruit user, so keep an eye out for somebody who fights in a very strange way. But what's more interesting is Brooke is actually very perceptive about this, because the giants are like, "Okay, make sure you go find the 2 non-Straw Hat human intruders." And Brooke actually brings up the point of, it's definitely got to be more than 2. There's no way it's just 2 people. We've been doing this for too long. I was a pirate even before I was a pirate. There's absolutely no way it's just 2 guys. So it could be any number, which is good, because if something happens to, like, if Sommers and Killingham get captured, or if Killingham and Gunko get captured, the 3rd one will still be hunted. It's not going to be like, well, we scooped up the 2. I'm sure nothing will come of this. So now the Straw Hat crew is kind of stuck. I mean, Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, they're down in the underworld. They're dealing with Loki. We got Robin and Chopper trying to save the children. We'll get to them in a moment with Saul. But now the rest of the crew is kind of, sitting around idle. They've got, big epic battle going on over there that they're not allowed to participate in. So, yeah, what now? Well, what now is Colin. The young Colin. You see him carrying a bag of things and he's sticking it in a small boat because Colin was told he wasn't allowed to fight. One of the giants even, shoves him away and says, hey, you got to get to where the children are because the children need to be kept safe. And he's like, but I'm a mighty warrior of Elbaf. Look, I've got a sword. And he's like, yeah, that's a very nice sword, kid. And I'm the son of Gabon. And he goes, that's right. You're the son of Gabon. A child. This is the time for warriors. And little Colin gets left behind. Well, as the Straw Hat crew is watching Colin stuff his things into this boat, they actually come over and tell him, hey, we actually want to come with you. And Colin's like, really? You guys want to help me? Okay, one condition. I get to be the captain. And so the Colin pirates begin to set sail as they row on their little flying ship and make their way towards battle. I do want to point out, though, Nami, sees Colin super happy, super excited. She even comments on how cute this is. And I would like to remind you guys that Gabon confirmed Colin is 20 years old. Colin and Nami are the same age. Colin and Nami were born in the same year. This is why lifespans are so interesting in fiction. That it's a great question because, for example, if you play Dungeons and Dragons, there is a race from the stars. They're from the what's the book called? Spelljammer, that's what it's called. So, in the Spelljammer books, there is a race called the Plasmoids. They are a race that reaches maturity in 1 year. So, at the age of 1, they are considered full-grown adults. Then you have humans, which hit their full emotional maturity around 25, but are considered adults around 16 to 18, depending on the country you're from. But regardless, they're adults around their early 20s. Then you have elves, which, in some fictions, like Freyrin, live to be thousands of years old. Lord of the Rings, they live to be a few hundred years, I think. In Dungeons and Dragons, they live to be about 700 or 800, which raises the question, when is it considered an adult? Is it when they hit, 20 because they reach the physical maturity, or is it when they reach 100 years old and they reach an emotional maturity? Giants live 3 times as long as humans. Now, I know Jarl is 400 years old, but hey, we have humans who live way outside of our, boundaries, so it makes sense. If you do the math, though, a human in their 20s would equate to a giant in their 60s. That being said, Colin, in his 20s, emotionally should be no different than a 7 or 8-year-old. It's fascinating to think about because we really haven't seen giant children since Big Mom. So, we saw giant children in Punk Hazard, but actual Elbafian or non-Elbafian giant children. So as the Colin pirates set forth for their adventure, we cut back to our antagonists of this arc. We've got Gunko, we've got Sommers, and we got Killingham. They're kind of finishing up their dinner, and Gunko, as Sommers puts it, is doing her post-meal ritual. In this post-meal ritual, she takes out a tone dial, she puts her headphones on, and she starts listening to music, which Sommers says is way less interesting than how he does it. What he does is he gets a full band together and tells every single one of them to play a song, and if a single one of them messes up, he shoots them. Sommers is just horrible. He is just delightfully horrible. I do not like this man as a person. His devil fruit is cool, But I don't like him. The more I learn about him, the less I like him. Killingham is kind of cool, though. Killingham can stay. But what's more interesting is the song he asks her, "What are you listening to?" And to which she responds with, "New World." Now, my immediate first thought upon reading New World was I was thinking about the lyrics of New Genesis from the One Piece film Red. But New World is actually the title of one of Brook's songs. All the way back at the start of the time skip. That was the song Brook used to introduce the return of Straw Hat Luffy. Gunko is a fan of Brook's music. She might actually get to meet the Soul King himself. I really hope she's a good guy. I hope she is a good person. I kind of hope Killingham is too, just because his devil fruit's kind of dope. But, yeah, there's really not much else we learn about them. We get a little interaction from them, but there's not really much else to say. Like I said in the last chapter, the three of them make a perfect capture team, but that's about it. But while Gunko is listening to her music and Sommers is teasing her about it, Killingham actually takes a look down and he goes, "Oh, hey, guys, you might want to come see this." As we see Saul with two shields, and he places himself in front of the children, and he's like, "Okay, if I can't touch them, then I can just stop them with just blunt force, right?" And sure enough, as soon as the children get up to the shield, the spikes prevent the child's movement. What's interesting here is the stopping of the child's movement via the spikes does not push the spikes into the child. So even if you do find a way to stop the kid, the spikes do not affect the kid. Unfortunately, the children behind the child that stopped continue advancing. So they just kind of bump into each other, and while the spikes don't affect themselves, their spikes affect each other, which causes this feedback loop where all the children are still getting hurt. So Saul immediately takes the shields away, and he's like, "Okay, that didn't work. That sucks. Also, pain didn't wake up the children. That also sucks, because that would have been my plan C. Like, okay, we can't stop them by grabbing them. We can't stop them by physically stopping them. But if the spikes hurt them, maybe they wake up. Maybe they stop sleepwalking. Nope, that one doesn't work either. However, that doesn't stop Saul. Saul had a way better plan C than I did. Saul's plan C was take a rope and with his little cowboy hat, get his lasso ready, throw it at the kid, wrap around the kid in the back, and stop him. It actually works. Saul actually stops the children, which is great. He's like, "Okay, this is good. This is fine. I stopped one. I just need more rope, and I can stop the rest of them before they head to the giant fire that is ahead of them. This is great. The only thing that could stop me now is a giant wolf." Why? Because one of the children's fears is Fenrir, the ancient wolf of Norse mythology. Yeah, so that's great. So we got children afraid of lightning, we got children afraid of Draugr, we've got children afraid of Fenrir, the giant wolf of death. And as we cut back to another village under attack, we see that there are children who are afraid of, it's called a Nidhogg? It looks like a dragon. Children are just afraid of dragons. But it's gonna be okay. Because as this dragon is coming towards the innocent people of Elbaf, we hear the sound of Hakoku sovereignty as the two captains of the giant warrior pirates, with fresh weapons, mind you, slash the very air, bursting this dragon in a big old hole. The kind of hole that would allow a ship to escape a giant goldfish, if you would. That's right. Dory and Broggy, they have come to save the day. They've brought their crew. They are completely sober because they actually went to the bathroom for no other reason than to puke out all their alcohol. So, on top of having just thrown up, they're mad they lost all their alcohol. They lost their buzz. Do you want to see a Viking who just lost his buzz? These guys, it's not a big deal. This is fine. We're safe. The giants are here. And they brought Scopper with them. Yeah, that's right. Gaban's with them too. So why not? Just free for all. I honestly very confident in how well this is going to go for Dory and Broggy. Everywhere else on the island, But that seems to be where this chapter comes to a close. So, yeah, let me know in the comments below what giant fears you would have that you would like Dorian Broggy to smash away from you. And, yeah, we'll see you in the next chapter. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.